Hey YouTube, this is Peter with Stuff Addict, and today I'm going to go over the Alienware AW3418DW gaming monitor. Alright, so the Alienware monitor swivels about 30 degrees to each side. It also tilts up and down about 20 degrees. It can be height adjustable up to about 8 inches up and down. Along the bottom of the Alienware is the USB ports and the headphone jack and the OSD buttons. I like how they look Alienware-y. The monitor has 2 RGB lighting zones on the front, one on the bottom and the power button in itself. And then it also has 2 independent lighting zones on the back. 2 strips are on the back of the monitor, 1 strip is on the back of the stand, and the other lighting zone is the Alienware head logo itself on the top right of the monitor. The OSD of the Alienware monitor is pretty simple and basic. I don't really have any issues with it. The only real thing I did with it was to go into the menu and turn on the overclock setting. Once you turn on the overclock setting, then you can change the overclock refresh rate from 100 Hz to about 120 Hz, so you're getting the full speed of the monitor working. The monitor also has other menu options like the inputs and the lighting control, and you can even make things like shortcuts for the buttons so you can get into commonly used settings pretty quickly. I really like how the Alienware monitor looks compared to the competitors. So you have the Asus ROG PG34 and then you have the Acer X34. But the Acer looks very plain on the front and plain on the back, whereas the ROG is very gamery. It looks like it belongs in a room with like a racing car bunk bed compared to like an office. The Alienware, on the other hand, you can be gamery if you turn on all the lights and make it all RGB, or it can be professional because it has very sharp and clean lines and a matte kind of aluminum finish look to it. So you can have it either way, whereas the other two, you're either plain or you're gamery. So let's talk about how the Alienware performs as a gaming monitor. So I kind of want to look at it 2 different ways. The first way is how well the colors are reproduced on the monitor and how it looks on the screen. And then the other is the gaming performance, in which I mean how smooth it is and how fast the monitor responds to inputs. When people usually talk about gaming monitors, they always emphasize having an IPS screen, because the IPS screen compared to a TN panel usually has better color reproduction. And that's usually true, but something else you have to know about IPS screens is that they have the very bad contrast ratio. So the difference between your blacks and your whitest whites is very low. And what that does, it doesn't give you a very vivid image. So I'm going to show you in a comparison between an OLED TV that has a infinite contrast ratio, what that kind of looks like. It's not super easy to capture on footage, but maybe if you focus on the bright points and the dark points between the two, you'll see what I'm talking about. For me, the difference in color performance between the Alienware and the OLED TV makes me prefer to play single player games and basically open world games where I'm not needing the super fast reaction time or the smoothness of the Alienware monitor. Because the much more vivid picture and bigger screen of the TV, which is actually in the same price range of the Alienware, is just a better, more immersive experience. Now on the other hand, the Alienware gaming smoothness is much better than the TV. The TV has like a 20 millisecond input lag, whereas the Alienware only has 4 milliseconds of input lag. The Alienware also has G-Sync, so there's no screen tearing. And because it has G-Sync, you don't always have to be able to run at 60 FPS in order to have the best gaming experience in terms of not having tearing. Whereas on the TV or a monitor that doesn't have G-Sync, I have to be able to get 60 FPS all the time if I want to turn V-Sync on. If I don't, V-Sync will cap my frame rate to 30 if it falls under 60, making the experience more choppy and kind of intermittent. Another aspect of image quality for the monitor is issues with the panel itself. So IPS panels usually have two issues. They have IPS glow, which is ununiformity in the panel, so you get some type of glowing effect when the screen is dark, and it has backlight bleed. You'll see in the next clip that there's very apparent backlight bleed in this monitor, and you can return the monitor over and over again trying to win the lottery on backlight bleed, but eventually you're always going to get some. So you have to keep that in mind when you're buying this screen. So let's take a quick look on how movies and games look on the ultra-wide 20:9 aspect ratio Alienware monitor. You'll notice that not everything fits on the monitor correctly, so you're going to get some cropping in some situations. You'll find things shot for TV usually cropped because they're made for 16:9 and not 21:9, but things like cinematic movies like the Avengers here will fill up the screen entirely since they're the correct aspect ratio. Some games don't support 21:9 like Monster Hunter World, so you'll get pretty big black bars here, even though it is a workaround for this particular game. The Witcher 3, on the other hand, supports 21:9 completely fine and even has the correct HUD scaling. Lastly, I'm going to look at how the Alienware monitor performs when you're doing everyday tasks like browsing the web or doing work on Microsoft Word or even editing videos in Premiere. This monitor is great for productivity because of the aspect ratio. You basically get two 4:3 monitors side by side. So you can have a browser window open and like Microsoft Word on one side or Word and a PDF document on the other side. If you look at a Premiere, you can see you would have a really wide workspace to look at the timeline and see both the monitor and the content editor sections. You can even use something like Altium, and you'll see that you have a lot of space to lay out your schematic. And even if you're not doing something super productive, it's even nice to like watch YouTube on one side of the video and then like browse the internet on the rest. A lot of the times I'll go up on YouTube and then I'll look up something on Reddit, and then if I want to, I'll find links on Reddit and then I can post them into the other browser windows so I can look at the content while I'm still being able to read things about the article. So, is the Alienware monitor worth buying? Well, if you're mostly using it for movies with gaming and productivity on the side, I would say no. Because for movies, not a lot of movies don't fit 21:9. And also with the backlight bleeding issues, it becomes very apparent when there's a dark scene, and a lot of movies have really long dark scenes, or even on TV shows. Also, the color reproduction isn't that great, so the contrast ratio is bad, so all your blacks kind of look gray. Now, is it worth it just for gaming? I don't think it's worth it just for gaming either, because you're already making contrast sacrifices and color reproduction sacrifices, and the ultra-wide aspect ratio is not even supported by all monitors yet. I mean, all games yet. So you won't be able to utilize it all the time. Also, you can get a G-Sync and high refresh rate monitor TN panel for a lot cheaper than this monitor. And if you're just gaming, you probably won't even notice the difference in color that much anyways. Is it worth it for productivity? While the Alienware monitor is great for productivity because of the aspect ratio, you can get an ultra-wide monitor that doesn't have the gaming features for much less than this one. But here's where it is worth it. It's worth it when you need both the productivity and the gaming. So if you're a big gamer and you also do a lot of type of work where a double monitor setup is really useful for you, then I would get the monitor, and that's what I use it for, and that's why I bought it.